Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we are going to go over the newest collab in the world of Monster Strike. It is the Gundam Seed Freedom collab. This is our second venture into the world of the Gundam series, so hopefully you missed it. Unfortunately, well, there's some bad news about what happened with the old set of monsters, but we'll get to that when that slide is up. But if you want to gacha for this collab, you have until March 2nd, 11:59 a.m. Japan time, to enjoy your orbs melting to case after the newest shiny collab monster in the Gundam series. And here is a subset of the monsters that you may be chasing after. I won't talk about their names right now because I'm going to go after them later, and boy is it hard to... It's a mouthful. I mean, almost half of the screen is filled with text, right? Okay, I'm exaggerating, but there are your monsters. Do note that this gacha is completely separate from the previous volume. You will not be able to pick up any volume 1 monsters in this gacha, and vice versa. If you're pulling on the old gacha, you will not be able to pick up any of the new Gundam Seed Freedom characters that we are about to talk about here. And of course, as is with every new gacha, the rate ups for the individual characters will begin on February 18th. It will cycle one after the other until the very last 2 days, in which all of them will be available. So keep an eye out for that. If you want a particular monster, consider waiting a few more days. And a special thing with the volume 2 gacha here, you can see that there's an EX label. You can read that. Every 10 pull you do on this gacha will get you a new good job stamp, and that there are 9 unique stamps that you can pick up. If you want them all, you will need to do 10 pulls. No more, no less. There is no worry about any dupes. And of course, last but not least, before we go into the specific characters, we have the volume 1 gacha of the Gundam series, Kira, Amuro, and Banager. You can pick them up here, and unfortunately, there are no new evolution forms for them. They're just the way they were back then. Granted, they are still quite relatively strong compared to other, gacha characters from collabs. They tend to fade away pretty well, but Amuro is still one of the top characters you can use for the Castle 4 stage, and Kira just overall is so strong. So people, they're quite in use still. I'm not so sure about Banager, but still very strong. Do note, since this is a revival, there is no individual rate ups for these characters, so you will have to pull them all on equal footing. And like I said before, no volume 2 characters can be pulled on this gacha, so please be careful about that. Oh, and like, the good job stamps only apply to the new gacha. You can see there's no label saying you can get any EX stamps here. That is on purpose. This is only for the new gacha. And, okay, sorry. Before we go into the characters' details, don't forget that you can pick up these paid pack monsters from the shop. They will cost real life money, 1,000 yen a piece. If you want the new version with Mu, you can get him there. You can also pick up the old volume 1 character, Hiro Yui. And even if you bought him the last time, you can still repurchase it, get that second copy if you really want. Again, if it's a collab that you really like, get it without a second thought. Just go for it. It's worth it. Alright, so let's take a look at what GameWith thinks of these characters right now. Do note, since this is very early on in the life of the collab, that the volume 2 monsters have provisional ratings. They are not set in stone, and after people use them a little bit more, get used to them, see if there's any hidden synergy with something else that makes it OP for something. Think changes can happen, or maybe they're just underwhelming. They thought it would be great, but you know what, the bump combo or the kit with the strike shot just doesn't work out as they thought. So keep an eye on these shifting, but for now, as of February 16th, Kira and Lacus along with Shin have an 8.5 rating, and Aslan has a 8.0 rating. 5-star monsters, note that Maryu there in the water element, 8.0 rating is very good for a 4-5-star monster. So you should consider at least getting one, maybe 2. Not so sure, but regardless, the best rule of thumb for collabs, get one of each of the 4 or 5-star monsters and you're set. Paid pack monsters, Moo is coming in at an 8.0. Usually these paid pack monsters are a solid 7.5 across the field. So it looks like he might be a little bit more worth than the others. But again, nothing ever, absolutely necessary. Like, I can't clear this without this paid pack monster. Oh boy, with the community right. So that's not going to happen, but it's a solid monster, not worth worrying about if you should get it or not. But on the flip side, there's no absolute need to get it if you don't want to. Right? If you're on the fence, don't worry about it. Right? And then the Volume 1 monsters, look, I mean, it's solid across the board as well. Kira Amuro 8.5, Banager 8.0, Camille 8.0. So just overall, you're not getting any duds, big duds. Like, we've got some pretty bad monsters from collabs before. I just don't think there's anybody that fits that MO this time around. So good ratings across the board for the Gundam series. Now let's take a look at the newest gacha monsters for the details of their strike shots. We can start out with Kira and Lacus, along with his Mighty Strike Freedom Gundam. His strike shot is split up into 2 parts after he gets his buff to himself. 20% on the first gear, 60% on the second gear. You have an all enemy attack that it's just like this electric boom, I guess, right? First, that is a percentage damage, which is always good to see. However, do keep in mind that it does appear that the all enemy attack will do half as much damage to mobs, right? Anything that is not a boss, essentially, will be taking 50% or half as much damage as usual from the stats you see here. 14% with a guaranteed minimum of 1.68 million and 18% on the second gear with a minimum of 2.16 million. And then the follow-up attack, you've got 3 slashes essentially and 1 final big slash at the end. The cool thing here is that this attack is considered to be direct damage. Again, some stages do require you to actually physically hit the character enemy to deal damage. This will actually cause damage to go through that way, which is always nice to see. You can see the multipliers there, and it adds up to a total of 6.3x for the first gear and about 9.0x for the second. So that is Kira and Lacus. Next, let's take a look at Aslan there, with his Infinite Justice Gundam. His strike shot will simply target the first enemy he hits. After he's done moving, he'll do a follow-up attack, and really there is no extra gimmicks. It has the same idea as we saw with Kira and Lacus there, where you get 4 hits this time and then 1 final one at the end. It does appear that that follow-up attack has a small area of damage where he deals the attack. So if there's other enemies around there, then maybe you'll be able to get some extra damage, but I wouldn't depend on that. You can see the buff for him: 20% for the first gear, 50% for the second. Follow up, you got about 4.8x in total, and the second gear goes up to 9.6x. And then last but not least, we have Shin along with his Destiny Gundam Spec 2. This strike shot creates clones that move along with you, and then there's a follow-up attack that targets the closest enemy after you are done moving. Of course, the targeting closest is really hard to adjust sometimes, right? It is hard to position after you're done moving. So I know, usually it's hard to use, but if it's strong enough, that's nice. And it is strong because you can see that if the enemy does have a weak point, then the follow-up attack will guarantee to pick up that weak point no matter where it's attacking and dish out that extra damage. So it is a guaranteed weak point damage level attack if it has a weak point, a big if. You can see the values here: buff 40% and 100% bonus, right? That's a 2.0x, which is always nice to see. You want to see those buffs in the 2 ranges. His clones, I believe there's like 4 of them. First gear, they'll do 90% the normal attack damage, but the second gear, they will do a 20%, 120%, 1.2x of what they normally do. And the follow-up attack, 5.12x for the first gear and 6.96x for the second gear. But again, remember, if they have a weak point, you can multiply a 3 on that. And that gets to be a nice, tasty number along that you can smile for. So those are your new gacha monsters. Because there were no changes to the old monsters, I don't have them on the slides here. So hopefully that isn't something you miss. But they are exactly the same as before. So I didn't think it was needed this time. The event quests, you can see them in action already. Hopefully you've already gotten a taste for them. You can see that the 4 or 5-star quests on the bottom here, you've got Liderado and Liu in the light and dark elements respectively. Simple, just make sure you clear them. You can get up to 90 luck if that's your desire. 24/7 5 6-star quest, no max luck needed here, right? Just complete it, you're good. If you play co-op for this quest, there is a higher chance you get 2 or 3 drops from this stage. Remember, every time you clear this stage for the first time that day, you will guarantee 7 drops so that the farming for this stage does not become insane. And last but not least, we have the scheduled quests. You can see one of them is active right now. We've got Griffin there, but also Daniel is on the schedule. Either of those stages will come for about, what, 2-3 hours at a time. Don't miss it, especially when you need to clear missions for them. That gets a little annoying when you have to wait for them. So there are your event quests for the collab. We also have an Insidious Chokyu Kyoku quest. This is a farmable type Insidious quest. All monsters that you take into the stage will have 99 luck and will function as max luck monsters. Guarantee those chest drops. No need for actual weaker max luck monsters. Bring your OPs and you are set. This time it is Orphe, Ingrid, and Karula on which you will be taking on. And I don't think it's actually been up yet, so we'll see how difficult it actually is. Hopefully not too bad though. Now, of course, with a collab comes a mission, and this time we are going to be taking on a foundation battle. You're going to be traversing through space to collect items and defeat enemies. A map is considered complete when you get all of the items on, well, there's only one item box, sorry, but all of the enemies on top are also defeated. You can see the list on the top of the screen, and let's see, I'm going to turn off the sound because I have definitely been dinged in the past because these mission areas have music with them. But you can see the list here. I've completed 3 of the enemies already. I'm on the last one here. I'm waiting for Daniel to show up on the schedule again so that I can finish this. But a map is considered complete when you finish all of the items here. There are a total of 3 maps that you must finish to complete all the rewards. Now, how does the movement work here? And I guess I should get out of here because I'm waiting for the mission, so you're not going to be able to see the screen here. But you can see there's a 5x5 grid here for map 1. You're starting on the bottom right. You can select an adjacent cell that you want to move to and confirm that movement by clicking the blue button on the bottom right. However, movement costs energy, and you see the 3 full energy circles there made up of 2 halves each, right? How this works is if you are moving into an undiscovered space, you haven't been there before, moving into there will cost 1 full energy point, right? You can see that yellow indicator showing that it will eat 2 halves and spend a full energy cell. Now, if you happen to move to a cell you have already visited cells are marked with a teal light blue color. If you want to move back onto there, and it actually might be advantageous to go back there, depending on where the enemies are located. It might make sense. Going to a previously visited cell only costs half an energy cell, so that is, you could save some energy that way. And do note that you can see the counter of how much time you have left for a regeneration point, because every half energy cell is regenerated every single hour. So 1 hour equals 1 half. So if you used everything up, it'll take 6 hours before you can fill it up to max. So another time gating thing, but you know, I'm sure, I mean, they know if they don't time gate it, people are just going to rush to it till the end. So I see what they're trying to do, but it's also frustrating sometimes. So make sure you check back in every 6 hours so that you're not wasting energy. All right, now what kind of spaces can you find in the mission area here? So there are 3 different spaces that you can run into. First is this search space. You can see that there's a literal like radar beacon. I thought it was going to be hidden, but it's just there on the screen. Maybe it was just map 1, but we'll see if map 2 and 3 do the same. But you go there and it will reveal the locations of all remaining hidden items and enemies. So you don't have to go search blindly search for those spots. Just go to the scanner, pick that up, and you'll be able to search all of the items and enemies. That'll also make it easier for you to path out the most, efficient way to pick them all up. Now, you can also run into a container. There's going to be 1 container per map. That container contains a Collab good job stamp. That Collab good job stamp is the same for everybody, but again, the location for these containers will not necessarily be the same for everybody. And last but not least, you will see an array of enemies. Each enemy will have their own specific mission that you must defeat. If you complete that mission, you will defeat the enemy and earn its reward. Now, you can... Oh, actually, I forgot I have some animation here, don't I? Sorry, that's what a container looks like. And then here you go. This is what an enemy looks like. You can go into their spot, and then you'll see that mission under them, and that's what you need to complete to defeat them. Now, let's say you want to actually keep exploring instead, or this mission's too hard. Let me get back to it later. You can go back to the map by clicking that bottom right button that says map. If you do that, you will exit the mission, but you will be sent to your previous location before you moved on to the enemy. So you will have wasted an energy going to the enemy, but for free, they will boot you back to your previous location. You can move on, do something else. If you need to wait 5 hours before the next mission, the event for the mission will show up. Kind of like what I'm doing for Daniel, right? I'm just waiting. But this is the last one, so I have nowhere to go, really. You can explore somewhere else, but do note that you will be kicked back and wasting the energy you spent to try and go into this monster, to attack this enemy. Alright, and once you complete a mission, you will be picking up some rewards. This time you'll be getting Diaka and the Lightning Buster Gundam for completing any mission. Again, defeating the enemy will get you a reward there. And just a summary, you saw this on news. This is what you'll be getting for each map. You got the items, top left, good job stamp, right? That's in the container. The bottom are the missions for defeating the enemies, and the top right is for each mission that you clear. You'll get that many copies. So looks good, right? And if you are able to complete a map, and by the way, the definition of completing a map is collecting the container and defeating all enemies on the map, you will get another good job stamp. Oh no, sorry, an alternate strike shot voice set, and then a title for the first 2 maps. And the 3rd map, you will also get an alternate strike shot voice set, but you will also be picking up a special Gundam badge along with a Waku Waku berry scroll. So, not too bad, nothing too flashy, but I do think the badge, I said it before, it does look pretty darn nice. And last but not least, login monsters. You'll be getting Izak and Dual Blitz Gundam. Upon login, you'll get 10 copies per day, and on days 2 and 4, you will be able to be picking up a Tokudama, which you can use for this gacha. During the collab, those 4 characters, the 2 paid pack monsters, the login mission monster, and the mission monster, will be giving you plus 99 luck regardless of their current luck while Gundam is active. And last but not least, I think a lot of people sleep on this. Do not forget to go into the library and clear the volume 1 stages, one time each. You will get an orb for clearing these stages once more, even though you have max luck though. It's essentially a free orb. These are old quests. You're gonna knock them down just by, you know, loosely breathing on them, right? So please don't miss out on that. And that's it. Wow. Okay. So hopefully you've got all that you needed for the Gundam collab. There will probably be a new Insidious stage next week. Make sure you look out for Monster Dark News here to figure out what is embroiled with that new stage. They could have a new area too. Sometimes they have a little small thing that they put out, because you know these collabs do become a little bit longer because it always spills over into the next month nowadays. So you know, don't miss out on that on this channel. So how do you not miss out on that? Well, you hit that subscribe button, and why don't you give a like while you're at it too, because hopefully you like what you saw here in the collab rundown. engmon/x, that's where I will post all the latest news that I can. And actually there is a very important notice for people who pulled on the Gekiju Shinsai Guardians Gacha. If you pulled on day 3 in the first hour or so of that gacha, there was a bug where if you did a single pull that was at 24% and then did another one after that, or if you did a 10 pull and at 24% and then did another one after that, the percentage rates that they showed on here was actually incorrect. And that's a very, very bad thing, just like legally and, you know, trust wise for people, right? There are games out there that really broke the trust of their players because these percentages were not, you know, the true values of what they were spending money on, right? And by making that mistake, it is quite a bad thing, you know, as a company. So they have offered a refund policy for those of you who were affected within that hour or so that this data was wrong. If you did pull during that time frame, you have already gotten a message from Mixi saying, hey, we screwed up, what do you want to do with it? And there's actually 2 options you can do. One, you say, I was fine with it, I'm gonna keep all the monsters, I'm good. There is a form that you need to fill out there saying, I am good, please do not do anything with my account, I'm safe. Right? The other thing you want to do is, maybe you got absolute garbage. Well, this is your opportunity to get a refund for those gachas. However, the requirement is that you must sell all of the monsters that you got in that time frame. And in that message that you get from them, it will list all the monsters that you got in the time frame that this bug occurred. If you sell all of those monsters at a later date, when the deadline happens, they will refund you all of the orbs that was spent. You know, once they verified you have deleted those monsters that you deem to be buggy and wanted a refund for. However, remember, this is an all or nothing. You have to delete all of them. If they see that you cheated out on one character, you will not get a refund. You must follow the instructions that lists out all of the monsters that you got from that gacha and properly sell all of them. So please be careful about that. If you did not get a message like me, right? If you go to my present box, there is nothing here about that. I was not affected. Nothing will happen. If you gacha'd on previous days, that doesn't matter. It has to be day 3 and the first hour or so is the only time this applies. Okay? So don't go selling monsters like, oh, I got garbage from Guardians, let me sell it, I'll get a refund. No, that's not how it works. All details of the exchange, refund policy is on Twitter/X, also in the Discord channel. Take a look at either of those. It is very important that you understand what this is asking for you to do. Selling monsters is a very scary thought, and if you do not do it properly, you will not get your refund. So please be careful about that. Anyways, once again, thank you again for watching. Until next time, bye bye.